There are personalities at this conference, and then there is Courtney Poulos. I got it right eventually. Hey, Courtney. Courtney is the owner and broker at ACME Real Estate, and she's here to talk about how you stand out in the crowd. If there was ever anyone I was going to ask, it was going to be you, Courtney. Thanks for joining us.
Why, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You've intrigued me early on because I want to know what ACME Real. How'd you come up with the name ACME Real Estate?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because a lot of people think it has something to do with the cartoon, but it actually doesn't. So a few years ago, when I was still at a big box brokerage, I wanted to put the logo of my client's renovation resale brand on my signs, and my broker wouldn't let me. And because I'm a little bit rebellious, just in spirit, I said, okay, fine, then I'm going to do it myself. And what I didn't realize I was doing at the time was I was creating a renovation resale brand. We wanted to create a brand where we could put our clients' logo, branding in front of the brokerage logo and branding. And that's what we did. And that's why it's called ACME. It's the generic brand, the anti-brand.
It's certainly very recognisable.
It is.
So you've done well there. So look, you made one point there about that, putting the client in front of the brand, but what are some of the way that brokers, it's a crowded market out there and you only have to look around our room to see it. What are some of the way that brokers are standing out against the crowd?
Well, I think that real estate agents have a lot of different talents. Like mine is karaoke. No, I'm just kidding. I do feel like you have to get involved first and also find out the way that best speaks to your market. So for me, my clients are my peers. They tend to be my peers. And so I know how to speak in a tone and with a certain kind of aesthetic that resonates with them. And I have honed that into an entire, like a way of representing our properties where we've created a buyer for the product we're selling very specifically and strategically over the course of almost a decade. So to stand out, you have to have a recognizable brand or personality, and you have to think outside the box. You can't try to hit all different social media platforms or cover all different points of a city. You have to like find a niche and work it.
But one of those things too, and you talked about raising your profile, particularly in your own niche or your own sector, if you like.
Yep.
But there is a lot of people out there. I mean, are there practical steps you mean? Have you got to get into the press? Have you got to do blogs? What is it that you do?
You have to get into the press.
Yeah.
But again, what is it that you're trying to say? I mean, maybe it all starts with finding your why, which we talk a lot about at these conferences. It's like, why do you wake up in the morning? What charges you? Is it really just the money, closing the deal? Is it the victory of the hunt? Or is it something else? And so for me, my why is inspiring women who haven't considered buying real estate to get in the game and think of it as more than just a place to raise your kids, which of course it can also be, but really as a place where you can generate wealth. Like, let's get it up there with 401ks in terms of where professional women are putting their money. So that's my why. I'm like, come on, women, let's get investing in real estate earlier. There's no way I would have been able to save a down payment for my first home in this market that we're in right now. I put $6,000 down on my first property. Like, that was a lot of money to me at the time. But if I hadn't gotten in the game then, I never would be able to own the house that I own now. And that was only like 14 years ago.
Yeah, and we're going to get onto that because I love that you've got a mission statement about helping women through both business and real estate.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention you're also an author, and we're going to touch on that in just a second too. But also with brokers, what are the important things that maybe their customers are looking for in a broker? I mean, it's great to have a profile, but you've got to deliver as well.
Yeah, you do.
And for customers, what are they going to be seeking out, particularly in this really crowded environment?
So this is what I'm saying. If you know your customer really well, if you spend enough time and energy like really understanding who is looking at your site, who's responding to what you are presenting, and you understand what moves them very well, you can distinguish yourself with that profile. I'll give you an example. Some companies really say, like, we are big on tech. Like, we advertise globally. Now, for a local real estate market, maybe Topeka, Kansas, the fact that somebody would advertise something in Seoul doesn't matter. They want somebody who knows the people down the street. That's who that client is.
Yeah, right.
So when you're figuring out like how you can distinguish yourself, you have to figure out how to best speak to those people. Now, I'm in Los Angeles. There's a lot of chatter. There's a lot of part-time agents. There's a lot of like big companies making noise and a lot of like kind of, I want to say, and I don't mean this in any derogatory way, but like older, more established companies that could give a rat's ass about social media. They are not present there. They're not speaking to that audience. So we have a lot of variety, but the main thing is you have to have something to say. And if what you're saying is, look, we're the respected traditional brand for your multi-million-dollar house, then you tailor your marketing to that profile so specifically that when you're in those listing presentations, you can say, I've been working on creating this client for your house for years.
Right.
And we just do that with the renovation resale market. So our volume is between $500,000 and $2 million. Is like the majority of our sales. Yeah,
it's really has become so specialised into, you've really got to know your sector and your market and your people, don't you?
Yeah.
To make a success of it.
But the buyers know too. That's the thing.
They're a lot smarter.
They
seem
are
to know
so much savvier.
That's right.
And the inventory is on the web now. So what is it that they're paying you for?
That's right.
You have to ask yourself, if you were looking for a house and a company like Purple Bricks was going to give you half the buy-side commission back, what would make you choose a real estate agent to represent you? So we have to do a great job of letting people know that our experience, our wisdom, our reputation, our approach to business, our ethics, and our general effectiveness throughout the transaction process is more valuable than that $5,000 they might get back on the transaction. And that's the challenge that modern agents have to live up to that our predecessors did not. They could just work on referrals and kind of neighborhood reputation, and the rest, who cares? But now we have to kind of dominate in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
But I'm up to the challenge.
I bet you are. I have no doubt. Yeah. So you've also, your sector, as you said, is what we would call back in Australia, so buy, renovate, sell, or buy to flip market. Yeah. Everyone wants to have a go at that now. I think television's got a lot to answer for in both countries. How are you finding that? Are people getting into it? Are they making profit? Is it too competitive? How's it looking for you?
So we were one of the first companies that had a branded rehab client at the tail end of the boom. So we started in Highland Park in Northeast Los Angeles whenever people were still kind of scared to go there. It had a reputation for being very gangy, very crimey, and it was kind of like the Brooklyn of Los Angeles.
Right.
And when we started working in that market, I have one flipper client, and we were buying things for houses for $300,000 and selling for like $550,000, and we were like, yes, we are killing it, killing it. So that market has changed dramatically. Everybody's gotten into the flipping market. I mean, everybody. Now there are maybe we have 30 clients who do some version of renovation resale, and the margins are smaller, but the inventory is still there. So when I hear people say, well, there's nothing to buy, I'm like, you're not looking in the right places. It's still there, but the challenge for flippers now is that they have to do a higher quality design finish. So we help our clients with that. If you do a Home Depot design, it won't sell.
Right.
The buyers are savvier. They are reading Westtown magazines, Raw magazine, Pinterest, and watching these renovation shows on TV, and they're like, we don't want granite countertops anymore. We want, we want Carrera marble, or we want Calcutta,
and eelskin wall coverings.
Yeah,
and,
not eelskin. Not in LA.
It's coming.
It's very anti,
No, it's coming, I'm sure.
We're a bit more animal friendly than that.
Faux eelskin will work, I'm sure.
Of course,
now, Courtney, I want to get your mission statement right here because I want to head into this. Your stated mission statement is to help women achieve financial independence through real estate. Tell us a little bit more about that, because you're also now a, soon to be published author. Is it this week?
Yeah, it's this week.
How
so
exciting.
I'm launching the book this week. It's called Break Up With Your Rental, The Professional Woman's Guide to Building Wealth Through Real Estate. And the subhead is Financial Freedom Waits for No Man. And I have been selling real estate for 14 years now. And in my 14 years, I have met so many professional women, lawyers, attorneys, lawyers and doctors and executives who live in big cities, and they are not buying. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're renting for 10 years at $3,000 or $4,000 a month? That's money that could easily have been doubled or probably tripled if they would have put it in the real estate market. we don't get a financial education as women when we're coming out of high school, where they're like, okay, you're about to go to college and they're going to give you a credit card. Don't do it. You know, save a couple dollars from that summer job and let's get you a condo, 3.5% down with an FHA loan. They don't tell, nobody tells you that. So what most people do is they get out of college loaded with debt, both college tuition debt and credit card debt. And they're just trying to get out from under the debt. Plus, if you're living in a city, you can't afford it. So my challenge is to inspire women to look at the market nationally and to say, I might not be able to buy in New York City right now with my situation, but what I can do is save $6,000, which is 3.5% of a very affordable home purchase in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in Nashville, Tennessee, in Kentucky, and turn that into a rental and let the market appreciate. And when I am ready, I'm going to refinance it or sell it, take the money out and buy something else. There's a long-term vision. When I was working for the federal government, I remember the 401k salesperson would come into our office and we didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't know. And they said, the company will match the funds, like, you know, high, medium, or low risk. And they put a paper in front of you and you just signed. It was like, you felt like you were investing, maybe, but it was also a sales pitch. I didn't know what I was doing. But during the bust of the early 2000s, people said their 401ks turned to 201ks. Real estate is different because although it has a speculative component, it really is a thing you can live in if you need to. It's a thing you can touch. It's land that doesn't depreciate, and at the end of the day, it's a leverageable asset in the long term. And if women, these smart women who are earning enough to make these kinds of decisions, considered real estate earlier on in their career, by the time they find Mr. Right, they'll be well on their way to finding their dream house to raise their kids in, you know?
Fantastic.
It'll be like the third buy, you know?
Terrific.
And that's where I'm at.
Courtney, I'm glad you're at the forefront of this. I've got to say, it's been an absolute joy meeting you here.
A pleasure to meet you too. Thank you.
We've had a lot of fun already. And everyone, Courtney Poulos, who's owner, broker of ACME Real Estate, published author for this week, and a real advocate for women investing. Being a fantastic chat. Thank you very much.
Oh, and tell your people to follow me at Breakup With Your Rental on Instagram.
There you go. You heard it straight from it.